I got quite angry and I snapped at one of the doctors and I literally said, you know, like, for f***ing sake, just put me out of my misery here and just let me go. Whatever it takes, I will literally sign on the dotted line because I know what I'm up against and I don't want this life. And the next I know is, I guess, just dark. You know, that was me for the next 6 months. And subconsciously, I was in the fight of my life, and surgeons were doing everything they could to kind of pull me back from the very brink. And I genuinely didn't believe that I was going to come through all of that. My name's Jamie Hull, and I formerly served with the UK Special Forces Reserve. In the summer of 2007, I was just about to deploy to Afghanistan on operations. However, I was forced to jump from the cockpit of a burning plane during a private flying incident. I suffered 63% third and fourth degree burns. My life would never be the same again. I'd already made a conscious decision to learn to fly, specifically a light aircraft, in the States. It was a routine day, and I do my pre-flight checks and I go full throttle. So my left hand on the control stick, my right hand on the throttle, and I'm climbing steadily through that local Florida airspace. And it's a wonderful experience. So I'm looking as far as the eye can see. I looked out the left-hand canopy and I suddenly saw a thin streak of visible yellow-orange flame. The fire immediately breached the cockpit internally. And I'm having to think on my feet and I'm still descending. I'm looking ahead and I'm watching the altimeter spin down literally through 900 feet, 800 feet, 700 feet. I'm in a nightmare and the heat from down below is building up. The flame is building up on my lower limbs. And at approximately 50 feet, looking 40 feet, 30 feet, 20 feet, and I was like Jack Rabbit. I managed to scramble onto the seat. I clambered over the small door lip between the seat and the left wing, got onto that left wing. I clapped my hands above my head in prayer position, and I took a giant leap off the trailing edge of the back wing, and I made that jump. But I landed like a sack of spuds, so it was sort of boom, into the ground, feet first, secondary impact. So I thrust forwards, smashed my face on the long Florida razor grass. And immediately I remembered the aircraft, and I quickly got myself into a fetal position on the ground, and I physically watched my own aircraft, some 70 feet away, pile into the ground. There was this ugly, crashing, crumpling noise. And all of a sudden, a short delay, a short pause, and an almighty boom. I mean, I was as fit as a butcher's dog when it happened. Remember, I was that badged SF soldier at the time, and I was very fit. So that was what helped me tolerate the initial trauma. So the worst of it was the fact that I was 63% third and fourth degree burns. And fourth degree burns means it's down to the bone. I was in a dire place and I was in a dire situation. And I had literally moments to go, moments, that was it. And I was consciously aware of that. And I was going through a hideous phase of dying, essentially. So I was a life on a thread, and I was going down that slope very quickly. Truth be told, surgeons in America gave me only 5% probability of survival. I was eventually repatriated back to various burns units, and I spent 17 months of my life there. So I remember that first moment waking up in the burns unit, and I felt just the feeling of utter despair. You know, it was the worst feeling on the planet, literally, to realise that your life is never going to be the same again. And I can remember this nurse, and she brought me a mirror and said, I'm going to have to get you to look at yourself, Jamie. You need to take a look at yourself because there's been some change in your appearance. And it was tough for me, I won't deny. When I looked in that mirror for the first time, as far as I was concerned, I resembled, you know, a distant cousin of the Elephant Man. It was a hideous sight for me to process and sort of behold. Around about the 18-month marker post-incident in the USA, I was in a very dark place, and I genuinely wanted to check out. And I'd actually started a dialogue with Dignitas in Switzerland, and I wanted help. I went for a surgery the following week with my burns consultant, and it was a relative success. And so with that, I developed, if you like, a pinprick of hope. I was onto something. I had to learn to walk, I had to learn to feed, to write all over again. Eventually, I just grew stronger. By the end of year 3, I was kind of clocking about 2,500 miles underfoot per year, which equates to 8 miles per day. which is a former sort of military test that all soldiers go through. So I wanted to try and get back to that basic sort of unit fitness level. I mean, I'll never be that former soldier, but I was healing in body and I was healing in mind, and that was what it was all about. And so from there, my life sort of metaphorically started to grow wings once again. So it wasn't enough for me just to learn to walk all over again. And I had some wonderful opportunities through some great charities to do marathon events, skiing events, cycling challenges. And I think that's testimony to the remarkable spirit of human beings.
What do you think now when you look in the mirror?
It's a good question. I look in the mirror these days and it's a bit different. I don't look like or feel necessarily like the elephant man in the room. I get the fact that I look a bit different. You know, I lost a bit of hair, the ears are a bit sort of ragtag, but I'm genuinely a lot happier in myself. You know, when I hark back to the early years of my recovery, I sustained 3 years of hell on earth. And in fact, I grieved the old me to a massive extent. But time has been a good friend to me, and I'm very pleased to say that now, actually, I consider myself one of the lucky ones, because I'm a survivor and I'm still taking life by the horns and I'm still holding on. And if that does give people even a small nugget of inspiration in their own lives, in their own journeys respectively, then I'm all for that. If it hadn't have been for military charities and the crucial role that they played with my rehabilitation, I probably wouldn't be here today. So if you want to help veterans like me, please play the Veterans Lottery. You'll not only be helping lives, but you'll be changing lives as well. So thank you.